And we're back. This is the Raise Our Awareness Revolution. I'm Da Vinci the Truth. And today I want to talk about suffering. Suffering is a big part of a lot of our lives. For some of us, to a much higher degree than others, but for everyone, we've all experienced suffering, and it's something that we know we are going to experience in the future. Now, I want to start off with the good news. The good news is that suffering is something that you have full control over. And I mean that. You have full control over the amount of suffering that you go through in life. And I'm going to share with you why that is and the solution to conquering any form of suffering mentally. Obviously, you break your arm, I can't help you with that. That's going to suck for a while, but as far as mental and emotional suffering goes, you're not going to be able to eliminate it from your life. But what you will be able to do is take anything that happens to you, take any experience, and the suffering will not only be short-lived, but it will be something that you will learn to enjoy in that short-lived experience of the suffering. And then you will eventually properly integrate that experience. And what will happen is all forms of suffering from here on out in your life, once you fully understand what I'm about to share with you, you will see them from a positive light and you will embrace them, because it ultimately boils down to your perspective, your mind, and how you understand yourself, this life, and those experiences. And so let me just go ahead and jump right into it. Take any bad experience in life. Let's take you doing something stupid. You feel ashamed, you feel embarrassed, you made a fool of yourself. Depending on how bad it is, you feel like you might have ruined your reputation. Whatever the case may be, in those experiences in life, naturally you suffer. And in any experience in life where you have the emotion of suffering, or you have negative emotions that come into your psyche as a result of an experience, those negative thoughts lead to negative emotions, and that leads to mental and emotional suffering. Now, first and foremost, you should never run from your thoughts. You should never run from the feelings that you have about those thoughts. You should never accept them and then just ignore them. All of your experiences in life should be looked at as valuable, because before that experience, whatever it is, positive or negative, before that experience, you were at one level of awareness. And then you have that bad experience, that mistake you made, and regardless, afterwards, you should be able to grow from that experience. And in many ways, even if you suffer the rest of your life, you still have a higher level of awareness as it's related to that experience, something that you wouldn't have had otherwise had you not made that mistake. And so what I'm really getting at is that the first thing that you need to do is accept that it happened, and then recognize that that moment when the flood of emotions are coming into your head and you're processing what happened and you're going through the feelings of regret and remorse and guilt and shame and all of that, those are all good. You want to go through those feelings. You want to let them tenderize you. That's what life is about. So when you're in that moment initially, embrace all of those feelings, because in embracing those feelings, you're going to have thoughts and you're going to be contemplating all of it, looking at all the circumstances, and just fully coming to understand what happened. And at the same time, going through that initial moment of suffering through those negative emotions associated with how you feel about what happened. I want to say those need to be accepted and embraced. Now, at some point, you'll get to a point where you just don't want to suffer anymore. This can take hours. This could take a day, 2 days, a week. Depending on how bad what happened was, it could take however long it needs to take. But at some point, you're going to be tired of the suffering, and you're not going to want to suffer anymore. You're going to recognize that you've basically processed everything related to that situation. And when you get to that point, most people, they don't know how to grow from it. They don't know how to process it from that point and transition in a positive way. And so they live with these complexes that they create, and it becomes a part of their shadow or their unconscious being. And so I just want to say, for one, a lot of things I talk about are religious. I'm very critical on religions and the flawed philosophy, the low vibration and frequency associated with them. And I have hope for reforming religion, but at the same time, I recognize that I think we are transitioning to an individual and collective experience of elevated awareness and a more principle-based experience for the future, one where we understand our nature, the nature of the universe, and our relationship to it. And ultimately, it's going to be spiritually and energetically based. And so I don't want to go too much into the religious thing, but I wanted to bring up the fact that a lot of the solutions that we have in today's world that religions provide just fall way short of what the best thing you can do for yourself and the best way to work through these problems. And I'm not eliminating the spiritual side of it. There is a higher power that you are a part of, and it is here. I mean, it is the source, so it will help you through these things. Dialogue with that source is critical. You should always have that. So although I may be critical on religion, I'm a deeply spiritual person, and I understand that the nature of reality at its core is spiritual. So I say all that to say that what I'm going to provide today... Oh, well, I wanted to also say, oftentimes I hear that when you hear shadow complex, you think Carl Jung, the guy that introduced us to these theories and these ways of understanding our nature and the nature of reality. And in religion, oftentimes he gets a really bad rap. I can't count the number of videos I hear where it's a Christian talking about Carl Jung. He's the devil. And well, I'll just go ahead and say that you'll find by the end of this video why that's absurd, and in large part, the what I'm about to say incorporates essentially what he taught about how the unconscious, your unconscious, will ruin your life for as long as you don't deal with it, as long as you don't come to terms with it. And I say, as long as you don't embrace it and find it to be a positive thing. And again, I know that sounds crazy, but I promise you, every single negative thing in your life, every single negative experience, every single negative thing you don't like about yourself. There's things about me, there's experiences in my life that I wish were different, or in the past, before I had this knowledge and this wisdom, I didn't like, but I promise you, no matter what it is, you should be able to love it. And I mean that. You should be able to love everything that you hate about your life and the mistakes that you've made and the things that you don't like about your experiences. So, and I give credit to Carl Jung where it's due, because where he is one of the giants whose shoulders we stand on. And so you'll see by the end of this video what I'm getting at. And so back to the suffering and the initial experience. So you have these negative emotions that come into you. You want to embrace them. You want to let them tenderize you. Those experiences are what it means to be alive. And this life, in and of itself, is a gift. It's a temporary experience where we came in with nothing and we leave with nothing. And so you didn't have to do anything to get here, and you don't have to do anything before you leave. And whatever you do before you leave really doesn't matter in terms of the physical and the assets that you acquire and the wealth. None of that matters. What matters are your experiences and the relationships that you had with people, your interactions with other people. Like I say, the temples of God that you interact with. Those are the experiences that matter. And so when you suffer and you have these negative experiences, first and foremost, you need to understand that that is something that is a part of the beauty of this life. This life is full of good and full of bad, but whatever it's full of, it's a gift. And that's why they call it the present moment. It's a present. And so when you make mistakes or you're not happy about something about yourself, it's something to embrace immediately. Allow it to tenderize you. Allow yourself to soak up the experience of being alive. The reason I say you should embrace it is because at some point you're going to be tired of the negative feelings. You're going to be tired of the negative emotions. Again, you're going to be ready to move on from the experience or move on from all the negative feelings you have associated with what you don't like about yourself. And at that moment, that's when you need to put in a little bit of creative, critical thinking work. Okay, you need to understand that experience or that perception of yourself in whatever way is unique to you. Now, granted, other people might have similar issues, but still, you're the one experiencing your life. This is your gift that you get to experience. No one gives a shit about what your issues are. These are for you to love and for you to embrace. And so in that process of accepting it and then desiring to move on, you need to figure out why that uniqueness in that experience is something that makes you not only unique but stronger having dealt with it. Or it could increase your level of awareness of what a situation like that is even like, having experienced it. That gives you information. It's an experience that you have digested, and now you're in the process of integrating it. And so you need to think about how, if before you had that experience, what knowledge did you not have about that experience? And it may initially seem like, oh, there's no benefit in that, but there really is. And this is why there's the age-old axiom of what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. There's a reason why that quote is so popular. For one, it's true, and for two, it's powerful. Once you understand that gives you knowledge through the experience that you otherwise would not have had you not had to go through that, or had you not had this issue with yourself that you didn't like. And so, for one, enjoy the fact that that is who you are at this point. But if you think about it from your perspective, only about you, then yeah, you're going to struggle. So I would say the next thing to do really is try to understand how you could experience someone else that has gone through something similar, and try to imagine what sort of advice you would have for that person, or maybe what sort of advice would you give someone like your children or your friends or anyone about why it is, exactly how that happened, what you went through prior to it happening, what you learned from it, how you understand to avoid it. That's all information, that's all knowledge, that's all beneficial to anyone that you share it with. And then ultimately how you deal with it over time is something that is also shared with other people. You don't even have to explicitly share it, so to speak. They see it. People see it. People understand what you've been through. And when they see you get up off the ground and move forward with a positive mindset, having fully integrated it, that's powerful. And people see that, and it impacts them. And so the impact that you can have and will have on other people is just another example of a positive. But there's various other examples of positive ways of perceiving it. Again, start with the fact that if you're still alive and you still have this life ahead of you, then that knowledge is only going to make you mentally stronger, emotionally stronger. And so there's no reason to think negatively about it. Now, you might think, oh, well, I just can't. Like I might be able to think of how it's positive, but I still feel like it sucks being me for whatever reason. Well, the next thing I want to say is that the laws of the universe, there are, at least in terms of Hermeticism, there's 7 principles or 7 laws of the universe. The first one is the law of mentalism, is essentially all is of the mind. And so this applies to a cosmic structure and nature of reality sense, but it also applies to the idea that your experience in life is a result of your mind. And in another saying that we're all familiar with, attitude is everything. That's essentially what that's getting at, is that it's really up to you. No one can make you at peace. No one can make you happy or content with yourself. No one's going to. And so it's important to understand that you are the only one that can potentially make you content and make you happy, make you at peace with yourself, and through that peace, enjoy this life. No one can do it but you. So even if you think that what I'm saying is crazy, and even if you think what I'm saying is not possible, just understand it's only possible through you. Your mind is the only thing that can accomplish this. And so with that, you develop a sense of ownership, and you develop, again, some level of acceptance. And so once you accept it, and once you've recognized that this makes you even more unique, even though we are all the fullest of unique that we could be, it helps you understand that. And so for those of you that are hearing this for the first time, again, this process, I'm not going to say it's easy, but it's a process, and it's a formula that if you follow it throughout your life, what you'll find is you'll reside in a state of a higher level of awareness. You'll make less of those mistakes as a result, and your psyche and your mental and emotional health will be better, even if it's just slightly. But I promise you, once you recognize that it's slightly better, that just means that over time it will continue to grow. And so back to the ways of perceiving this thing about you in a light of it making you more unique, or making it having it give you the opportunity to share this with other people, to help them, and then on top of that, there's another saying that ties into this, and it's the idea that your glass can either be half full or half empty. That's up to you. And so get through that, and you make peace with that experience or that perception, and you ultimately you need to try to be grateful for it. And again, I know that's hard, but I think this also gets back to, you have to see this life as a gift. No matter what happens, you're experiencing it. And if you have faith that God is in control and God is with you, working through you, with you, by you, in you, and you with him, that you're not alone. And so once you understand that you're not alone and that this life is something that you were destined for and that God is in control and wants the best for you. But the fact of the matter is, this life is not meant to be perfect. Perfect is on the other side. Perfect is that spiritual realm where your soul of unconditional love, and you look back on your experiences in this life, and again, you grow from it. It's the same type of growth. Here, it's a little harder because you're in your physical body and either you don't think it's possible or you're just overwhelmed by your emotions. But again, the fact of the matter is you have full control over your mind and your emotions. And if you don't believe that to be true, well, maybe you can believe this. No one else is going to have control over your mind and your emotions. So if not you, then who? No one. And all I'm telling you is it's possible, and I'm trying to provide you the framework and the formula in order to do what I've experienced and many other people have experienced. This is a way of life. This ultimately becomes something that you don't even have to try to do. Once you start doing it, once you start going through the process of letting these negative emotions tenderize you, finding out how it makes you unique, and really embracing the fact that, some of these things you don't like about yourself are permanent. Like, you're going to live your whole life like this. So you can either see it as a puzzle or a game or something that you ultimately are going to conquer, or you can perceive it as something that you're going to be a slave to mentally and emotionally, and it's going to dictate how you live your life in the most subtle but terrible ways. You develop anxiety, you live a life where you hold yourself back from opportunities because of these complexes that you've put into your subconscious without first finding gratitude in. And I mean that. Ultimately, you want to be grateful for every single thing that you get to experience. And so once you're able to find out why it makes you unique, find out how it allows you to contribute more to the world. Oftentimes, what you'll find is that these situations in life provide you an opportunity to be funny. You can joke about your mistakes, but first you have to really accept it, and you have to be grateful for it. And then once you're in that position, then you can share your stories and laugh about it with other people. And that's just another aspect of benefiting from something you don't like about yourself. And so I think what this ultimately boils down to is love of life, love of the Creator who's with you and a part of you, and loving creation, so loving everyone and loving yourself as you love everyone in that same way as a part of a whole in an experience that is transient, that is impermanent. It's temporary. This life is temporary. It's key to really understand that. And this is why I have a lot of issues with religion, especially the Abrahamic religions, with this idea of eternal punishment, which is not proportional to a punishment for a temporary blink of an eye, 100-year existence here compared to eternity. It doesn't make sense, and it's not healthy to live in fear of eternal hell. You're better off spending all of your mind on positive thinking, how you're going to serve others, how you're going to live the most in the most optimal way for yourself and for others. That's what's important. And this is all a part of the process, because if you're not content with yourself, if you're not happy with yourself, if you have all these things that you haven't addressed psychologically, then they're going to bother you throughout the rest of your life. And the most important thing to understand is they do not have to. That is something that you ultimately, with what I'm sharing with you, if you understand it and you practice this, you will find that there's nothing that can make you mad. It will improve your composure. There's a lot of people that fly off the handle over little things. It will improve that because you begin to love all things that you experience. And so you find peace in everything. And again, so we talked about mentalism, the first Hermetic principle. The second Hermetic principle is as above, so below, as within, so without. And this is a principle, a law of the universe. And what's key is that you listen to what I'm saying and just entertain it. If this is the first time you've heard these things, these Hermetic principles, this idea, this philosophy, and for dealing with suffering, just do yourself the favor of entertaining this idea and going through the motions and working through it, and you'll find that it works and it is true and it allows you to live your best life. And so that second Hermetic principle, as within, so without. So it's this world around you is like a projection and a relationship, and one where ultimately, when there are issues in your outside world, the more you come to understand that your mentality and your inner world and the emotions that are tied to your relationship with all of these things, the more you understand that that's where you can have control, then the more you'll begin to exercise that control. If you have issues with people or situations, 99% of the time you're not going to change. Well, you're probably definitely not going to change those people. And 99% of the time you're not going to be able to change those situations. And this helps with kind of the flight or fight mentality. Not necessarily fight, but either address issues or learn to experience issues that you otherwise might have ran from. So rather than taking flight, you fight. Not in the physical sense, but mentally, emotionally, you face your fears. And with each and every situation like that, again, you just slowly condition yourself to perceive reality in this way. And your mind is like a muscle. You can train it, and it gets stronger, and it gets conditioned to the ways that you want it to think about life and the way you want it to perceive experiences. And so, as within, so without. So if you feel good about yourself, well then people will feel that, people will see that, you will feel it, and you will see that ultimately your exterior world will begin to mirror your interior world. If you're not upset about yourself and you are at peace, you're naturally going to be able to be more at peace with others, and people that are at peace with others are likable, and life seems to just flow. Now, I get it. The other person might be a piece of crap, but as long as you are secure and in control, well, then you'll be able to navigate this life and deal with those things with a higher level of awareness, because it comes from a state of gratitude, which then leads to positive thoughts, positive perspectives, positive relationships. And so the things in your life that you might not have liked, once you go through this process of correctly integrating the things about you and the experiences about your life or experiences of your life that you don't like, once you properly integrate them, you are building your security. You're also building honesty within yourself, integrity, acceptance. You're not living this delusion of what you would like to be in your mind, so you pretend you are, and then no. You don't pretend that you're something. You accept that you're something, and then you teach yourself to love the opportunity it provides you. It doesn't matter what it is. Just know that after this life, in the next realm, you're either going to feel like you made the most of this opportunity and you're going to have to relive through your life review, like all the near-death experiences talk about. You're going to have to relive all of it. You're either going to be proud of yourself, or you're going to see all the negative that came from the low vibration and the non-acceptance of this very life that we are in. And so, just on that note, think about it. You're here, and there's no getting out of it. And so, you can either make the most of it, or you can allow this life to defeat you, and then you don't win in the end. Now, granted, I do believe that regardless, you will grow one way or another, and you will benefit from it through growth in the afterlife. So, for those of you that hear all of this and struggle through incorporating this way of life and this perspective, just hold out hope, continue to practice it, and just know that either way, in the end, you are loved, and this life is still a gift, and the present moment is in fact a present. And the healthier you are mentally and emotionally in every present moment, the better your life will be, and then ultimately the better your experiences will be, and the more you'll be able to contribute, the more you'll be able to interact, the more you'll be able to help others and serve others. And so I guess I'll end with that. Ultimately, a big part of this is just learning to embrace this life, not for yourself. It's not about you per se. In fact, it's not about you, because every situation in life is you and other people. It's about the coming together with other temples of God, other people. And those interactions create the memories and the thoughts and the emotions and the pain and the suffering, or the positive, the good, that's where the magic happens. And so the more you begin to look at life as an opportunity to interact with others and to serve others, or to give to others, or to contribute, or to see yourself as one with others, and that when you strengthen them or help them or serve them, you're helping both of you, and your life and their life will be better. And so that's a perspective that you want to try to remind yourself on a daily basis, that it's not about me and how I perceive myself or want to perceive myself. Because if you're wanting to perceive yourself a certain way, you're already not perceiving yourself for what you are. And what you are is love and light and opportunity. And that, once you fully understand that, there's nothing else to be more happy about. This life can be looked at where, just as Albert Einstein said, I think it was, you can look at this life where everything's a miracle or nothing's a miracle. You can look at this life as everything sucks or everything's great. The glass can be half full or half empty. But I will say that every cloud has a silver lining. Every storm is followed by sunshine. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And the laws of the universe tell us that your mind is what creates this reality, especially as it relates to thought forms at the higher planes and the emotions that are tied to that, and then how you deal with those emotions, and then ultimately what that means for your kingdom of God within. You're a temple. That's why it says in the Bible, clean the inside of your cup and the outside will be clean too. As within, so without. And so it all boils down to love. And once you come to understand that we are all one and you're a part of the whole, then loving yourself as a part of that whole is the first step in order for you to make the most as the unique aspect of this body or this family of humanity, this mystical body. And so in all of this, again, you just gotta, I would focus on seeing it as an opportunity to make the most of. Understand that there is a way to make the most of it. And that process, the one that I've done my best to share with everyone, is something that absolutely works. And I think if you doubt it, don't doubt it. Just believe that it works. It's the old placebo effect, and then eventually over time you will see how it works. And again, it becomes a way of life. You'll look back and you'll wonder, or you'll be amazed at how nothing bothers you anymore. Ultimately, that's what you will get to in life. No one can make you angry. I'm not going to say 100% of the time. Every once in a while, something, you just got to punch someone in their face, right? But no, at least where I'm at, like I don't get mad at people. You can't make me angry. I know I speak for many other people that are well on their own spiritual journey and understand this. Again, these are sayings that have stood the test of time. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Your glass can either be half full or half empty. And then you have, these are laws of the universe, hermetic principles, that it's just the reality within which we live. Vibration and frequency. We are energy. And so our electromagnetic field is a byproduct of our vibration and frequency associated with our thoughts and our emotions. Those are real energetic things that make up who we are. And then lastly, I think the key is identity. Because when you identify as love, unconditional love, and you identify as a spiritual being that is eternal and divine, that is one with the Creator as He is working with you and through you in this life, for you to know yourself and for the Creator to know itself as well. You should see this as a dance, something to celebrate and something to always be positive about. And what you'll find is that it is really up to you how positive you are about all of this. And so I think that's that for the day. Yeah, I just want to encourage everyone to really, really understand that suffering in life is something that you have full control over, and you can transmute that suffering into gratitude. And in doing so, you're laying the foundation for a positive mindset and a positive attitude that will lead to positive actions, positive interactions, and a way of life that you will love. Because again, it's all up to you, and it's a matter of understanding these principles. So anyway, I'm Da Vinci the Truth. This is the Raise Our Awareness Revolution. Love all y'all. Take care.